5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. If you are watching live on YouTube, thanks very much. It's the awards night. Join in. Tell us whether you agree or not with Kate's choices. And if you are watching on catch up, you can do exactly the same in the comments below on YouTube. And if you are listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for lending me your ears. Kate, well, LTID TV's very own Kate Adey. How are you doing?
Well, it has felt similar to a war zone this year, hasn't it? So
yes, exactly. I tell you what,
it certainly has.
I don't like you. I think I scrub up quite nicely there.
You do actually, yeah. You very much do. You look like a film director.
Like a what?
A film director.
Oh, a film director. Well, I want to say, I mean, you're there very much with Oscar in your hand. I bet you said that.
I look great. I mean, I've poured myself into that dress, haven't I? Really?
You have. Can I just say, before anybody asks, I am not like the guy from the Go Compare adverts on Strictly Come Dancing. My hand is firmly in my pocket behind that picture. Although the look on your face, Kate, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, exactly. It's the last but one, the penultimate fan's voice. Do get over and check it out on bbc.co.uk / last time, Kate, go on, / give me a slash. That sounded wrong, didn't it? LCFC. Fan scorecard. Season rating, unsung hero, overriding emotion and more. And then don't forget to check it out next Tuesday, because we won't be here next Tuesday because I'm in sunny Lanzarote. I say, looking out the window here at LTVT Towers, can't wait because it's peeing down with rain. What are you doing next Tuesday?
What am I doing next Tuesday?
For your BBC?
Oh, I can't even remember what I'm doing. Bear with, and I'll tell you what the topic is.
Well, while you're searching for that, Thursday night, everybody, 7 o'clock, it's the prediction show. It's just me on my own. We're going to be doing the table. Kate was up to third last week. Can she stay on the podium this week at the final attempt? And I'll also be going through and comparing my Premier League position predictions to actual how they finished. And I've done half the table, and it's not looking very good. I'm not going to lie. Who the bloody hell predicted that Tottenham would finish 17th? I don't know. But yeah, so Fans Voice next week on bbc.co.uk / LCFC.
Yes, my topic next week will be what happens next.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. I mean, I've got 250 to 300 words. I mean, I'm not sure that even covers the beginning.
I don't think it does. I mean, well, let's be honest with you, who knows what will happen between now and next week. Will I come back off my holidays and we have a new manager?
Well, I was hoping we were going to be able to talk about that today.
Yeah, but no, it's not.
Yeah,
I have to say, Sky Sports have actually put a page up here, and it is the transfer news, players that could be on the move in the summer window. So all the ones that teams could be after. We only have one player from Leicester City, and that's Jamie Vardy. So they don't think many teams will be after our players. But of course, there is a little bit of good news today. Danny Ward's finally left.
I can smell the cash. We're not having to spend anymore. I can smell it.
He was a good number 2. In fact, he reminds me very much of a number 2.
That's exactly where my head was going.
Yes, I'm glad
he had
that.
A few moments for us, don't get me wrong, but after that, he became a career coaster, I think.
He was very much. He did all right in the cup games when he was standing. When he played in the Carling and the FA early doors for Casper, but he just didn't transfer that into the league when he got his chance, did he?
No, he really didn't, and he just seemed without concentration and effort and care, and I'm sure that wasn't the case, but he just wasn't at all switched on and sharp. And it's so apparent when you're a keeper, isn't it? It's so stark if you're not on it, because even last year we were against some good opposition at times, and he was poor.
Yeah, and Everson as well has left, but of course he's walked straight into a new job at Preston.
Yes. Yeah, and good luck to him. He's done what most people would do there, as has Danny Ward, to be fair. If you're hanging on to that kind of money, it's your last big payday of your life, really. But glad Everson's going to a decent level team, really.
Yes, I mean, I'm presuming that Mads Hermansson will move on, and you never know. But I mean, if we get a transfer embargo, can we obviously can't buy, but can we sell?
I thought you could replace. So if players want to leave, I thought that was okay, because you can't hold players to ransom because of a club's predicament.
No.
But I know that if you lose someone, you can replace like for like, as far as I know. But you can't do loans, I don't think. It depends on what the squad numbers are. Like if you can make up the squad numbers elsewhere, I think it's just all about that. But yeah, flipping heck, might be calling Danny back at this rate.
Oh God, no! God, no! Sounds like you got my cough from a few weeks ago.
I picked something up. Yeah, annoying.
As long as it's not chlamydia. Sorry. Doug is in. Hi, Doug. How are you? Congratulations on winning the Premier League. Great that you could celebrate it this time, which you couldn't last time. Hope everybody that was run into the other day, and I'm glad to see that you're okay. Not 100% sure what went on there. Did you do it on purpose? What was going on? But hope everybody is well and recovers from that. Somebody said today, in fair dues to them, I put the link up today saying that it was going to be on, and John Parker, very good, says should be bloody cancelled. Awards for what? He has got a point. He has very much got a point. But here we go then. Let's dive into this. And I have to say, before anybody goes absolutely mad at me, none of these are my choices.
See how you shirk responsibility at the first opportunity there, Chris.
I like to think, like a good manager, I delegate.
Oh, do you? I call it shirking.
There's a thin line. There's a very thin line between the two. But no, I like to pass the thing. And there we go, another good one there. Picture of us. Right, okay, so let's dive into this. So like I say, Kate had an open book that she could pick whoever she wanted for these awards. And she's going to talk through and maybe give us an idea of who could have won it. This,
it's like a really like football version of Bully.
I'm going to say, here's what you could have won. And let's be honest with you. We're in the middle of Leicester, and Wout Faes has been a bit like a speedboat, hasn't he?
Yeah, true.
Right, here we go then. Let's go for the first award, and this is the signing of the season. Now, I have to say this was probably the shortest list that you had to choose from. Although Okoli has come out today and said he wants to fight for his place next season. So,
Did he mean with Leicester?
well, that is true. That is a very good point. I didn't read the story enough, but what did you have a few contenders, or is there just one that sort of was like a lighthouse?
For this one, I think there was just the one, because it's been slim pickings on that front, really. I mean, our transfer window in the summer, I don't think it filled anybody with excitement initially in the first place, and then let alone how it then eventually panned out, and some of the money that we've arguably wasted on some players that are over the hill, and we've seemingly not learned our lesson from the Vestergaard Bertrand window, which was another total disaster. It feels like that was repeated a bit, really. But yeah, there was only one winner for me, and I think everybody will be able to guess who that is.
Edouard?
Correct.
Yes, I know. I feel like, do you remember, I don't know if you ever read like The Sun and The Mirror and those sorts of papers, but years ago, they had a thing where during the summer you could go up on your holiday to a holiday resort, like whether it be Blackpool or Brighton or Bournemouth, and if you saw the guy in the Sun hat, you could go up and hit him on the shoulder with a copy of the Sun and go, "You're the man from the Sun and I claim my £5." And I wondered whether I should be going down to Seagrave and going like, "You are Edouard and I claim my £20. I found you."
A week, apparently. Wow.
But here it is, of course, one and only. But I mean, there was no contention, was there?
No, there wasn't. And he's been super for us. I think, if I'm really critical, one of the reasons why he stands out so much is because everybody else has been quite poor. Obviously, we've not seen as much of Buonanotte as what we'd like to. He's been dropped from the squad, I think, probably for discipline reasons and things like that. I don't feel like he's great at following instruction. But Bilal, although he hasn't produced the goals and assists that you'd like, that kind of player to produce, some of his on-the-ball work is exquisite. He's got a bit of a touch like Mahrez used to have, and he's one of the few ball players that, I don't think he's one of the few ball players in the squad, but he's one of the few ball players that we actually chose to play regularly. And, he was the one that got you most excited on the pitch, really.
I forgot what I was very full about it.
We're going to burst into opera then. Nessun Dorma. One cornetto.
yeah, that's more like it. We've got to remember as well. This is what I don't know. When you suddenly want to say something and it suddenly goes out of your mind. That was pause mid-pose. It was his first season in English football,
and he was 19 when we signed him.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he's a young lad, and I feel like he is up there, if not comfortably, as the hardest worker on the pitch. Like, going forward and defensively, he does not stop. And I feel like he was the only player this season that had any kind of sort of brotherly, strong relationship with Vardy. Like, he put something personal on his own Instagram saying what a pleasure it was to play with him. And then when Vardy scored his 200th goal last weekend, Bilal hung back, like, after all the players celebrated with Vardy and walked off. Bilal hung back because he wanted his own little moment with him. Yeah. And I think he's enjoyed and learnt a lot off Vardy, and he's savoured every moment. And I know people think he might leave in the summer, but unless it's for financial reasons, I think he will stay because of his age and because we've been good for his development.
Yes. I mean, interesting there, that picture is of him, holding the badge and what have you. And I'm going to say, do you think you'll be here next season?
Yeah, if we're still the right side of the money for 24-25, then I think we've got a really good shout of keeping him, unless silly money comes in, which I can't see that happening. So we'll just have to see. But I think he likes it here. I think he's enjoying, like I say, what we've been able to do for his game. And it's just been such a shame that we've not put other ball-playing individuals on the pitch with him, because you see the transformation when players like Buonanotte play alongside him, and Vardy. just players that are more comfortable on the ball. Mavadidi, Casey McAteer. When you've got those players alongside him, it allows him to flourish rather than consistently doing the hard work and being the only one that you rely on to help carry the ball forward in the transition. You know, every time we turn the ball over, unless we can get it to Bilal, you feel the ball will come straight back and change and turn over again. And that tends to be what's been happening. We are so poor at keeping the ball because we don't have enough players that are comfortable in possession like this guy is.
And do you think, I mean, the rumours are that he's got a £20 million release clause, in his pay. I mean, I think we paid, was it 20 we paid for him or 21?
20 with a couple of add-ons, wasn't it? A couple of mil add-ons, maybe.
Do you, I mean, everybody's saying, like, how are you daft enough to sign a player with a get-out clause the same as what you paid for him? But if he says to you, well, I'm only going to come if I can have that get-out clause, what do you do?
Well, it's probably the best way of meeting in the middle that Leicester have arguably done, because if he was rubbish or we didn't want him, then you've negotiated a release clause in there that gives you your whole money back.
Yes.
Whereas if he was brilliant, there's a risk that you could lose out on a bit of money, like we did with Kante. You could end up in that kind of position. But I think you'd like to think that Leicester saw that release clause as a bird in the hand.
Yes.
So we'll have to see. But personally, I don't think he's worth any more than that at the moment, 20 mil. I think he's obviously worth a bit to us. But in terms of a Premier League club buying him, like I say, his numbers last season weren't great. I think it was 3 assists and 2 goals, or the other way around. And, you know, I know we had a 5-month home drought. I know we went 9 games without scoring or whatever it was. But his numbers still weren't quite where you expected them to be. So I think on that reason, he's perhaps not worth more than potentially what we paid for him at the minute. But the potential is enormous, which is why I think if we can hold on to him, you know, it was the coming of age for people like KDH and Fatawu. You know, these players are really exciting. And if they can just harness their talent and unleash their potential in a lower league, you know, rather than us loaning him out like we've had to do with the likes of Ben Nelson and Harvey Barnes back in the day. We've not had to do this with him. And, you know, going down to the Championship may even avoid that again altogether if we can keep him. And then he's kind of perfected his craft a bit more for hopefully the next time we're in the Prem.
When you compare it, though, to players like Soumare, he has bedded in better in his first season than the likes of Soumare. Because you're not going to, I mean, how long did it take Mahrez to settle in? You know, at least a season. So, but look, Craig agrees with us. I don't think anybody's going to argue with you on that one. You see, it's become agrees with us. When it's something I agree with, it becomes the royal us.
You really don't have to point that out to me, Chris. I am well aware.
It's like Andy Murray, you know. He's British when he wins, and he's Scottish when he loses. Yes. Right, this one might have been a bit harder for you to choose, and that's the worst signing of the season. My God, there must have been a few in here you looked at and thought, can I, should I, would I?
Yes, and I don't actually know who you ended up choosing as the winner because I said a little caveat, didn't I?
You did.
Did you go with the caveat?
The caveat was the fact of, do we include loan players or do we just have, you know, and if we'd included loan players, then you would have gone for the aforementioned Edouard, which is a bit unfortunate of him because I don't know whether he's good or not. I've just never seen him.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't know. But this was the guy that you went for as our worst signing of the season. And the worrying thing is, 2 out of 2, I agree with you.
Reveal that. There was a couple of contenders, wasn't there? So there was Jordan Ayew, which I think a lot of people might put up there because the frustration. Arguably, we paid a transfer fee for someone who's certainly on the downside of his career. The frustration he brings, even at the weekend, the guy has just perfected the craft of falling on the floor, and that's about it. But he did give me one of my best moments of this season in the winner at Southampton, which was wet your pants stuff, exciting that was. And then we've got Oliver Skipp. These award ceremonies aren't quite the same level of excitement, so you don't need to check your pants. Then we've got, Oliver Skipp, a hell of a lot of money. Not his fault, but a hell of a lot of money. We've not really seen him have a run of games. I think that that goes in Skip's favour as well. I've not been impressed with what I've seen, but similarly, that midfield has just been a shambles from start to finish, to be honest. And then yes, we had Edouard as a contender as well. But the winner is.
I wish I had a drum roll ready. Has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bobby, even though he was on a free, that
was still too much.
Yeah, I just feel like, although I don't think he's a bad player at all, he's the kind of comfortable squad player that I wish we were in a comfortable position to be able to sign this type of guy. Because if you're in a sticky spot for wanting a decent footballer who's good on the ball, then Bobby's probably the one. But he's got no venom in him. He's got no fight or aggression in his game that really needed us to try and get out of this relegation battle. And I still to this day, and again, this isn't his fault. This is a Leicester City worst signing of the season, not Bobby's fault. I don't know what we signed him for. I don't know what he brought to the table. I don't know what position he was supposed to be playing. I don't know what backup he was supposed to provide that we didn't already have at Seagrave, to be honest. And that's why I've given him the worst signing.
When we started the season, and look, Steve Cooper had come out and said, "You're not going to blame me if we get relegated because we bought players with loads of inexperience." And I was very much jealous of Ipswich, who had gone out and bought a lot of Championship players who hopefully could make the move up, and it didn't work out for them either. And Ayew and Cover-Reed did feel my belt buckle, if you like, because, like I say, I'm thinking, why, with the Derby and Jones United, why are we buying all these old players? Ayew, I said this the other week, that I wouldn't mind if he is our main striker next season, because that's his role. And I think if you play Ayew on the wing, forget it. Don't stick in there. You might as well go out with 10 players. But if he's there in that lone striker role, he can, what he's good at is holding the ball up. And then if you've got maybe El Kanous, Mavididi, Fatawu, Casey, whatever coming, behind, the three behind, and he's holding the ball up for them, he can, like you say, he falls down and gets you a free kick when you need it. One of the things I noticed against Ipswich was how, he was going down, but he was holding play up. He was giving us a chance. But this guy, why? Like you said, that is the question. Why? I'd love to have a Steve Cooper on the show and go, why? Why did you buy this man? But it's funny, isn't it? Because, of course, for a few weeks, Ayew couldn't get anywhere near the bench, and Cover-Reed was starting, and then suddenly Ayew was starting, and Cover-Reed. Do you think they're too similar?
No, I don't. I think they're both just. We've played both of them out of position.
Yes, yeah.
I think we've both. We've not played Ayew in the number 9 role. I think the Ayew situation could pan out a bit like the Ayoze Perez situation does. If you play Ayoze Perez anywhere else but central, it's going to look awful. And it's a bit like asking Mads Hermansen to step in Ndidi's role. It's just not going to work, is it?
Why do managers buy players for a particular role and then try and put them into a different role?
No idea. I mean, Perez has been picked for the Spanish national team now.
Yes.
He's absolutely flourished since he's moved to Villarreal. And he's just, gone from strength to strength. And we didn't pick, he was a lot of money and he was coming from quite a good Newcastle career. And we just didn't bring out the best in him because we kept playing him in the wrong position. On the wing, he was useless. And I feel like this is what's happening with Ayew and Bobby a bit. Like, no one really knows where their best position is. Well, we know with Ayew more because of what he did at Palace. Like, he's a striker and he could definitely do something in the Championship. The only worry is we signed him at 34, which means he's 35 this year. He's no way near looking like a 35-year-old Jamie Vardy looked. He's not even looking like a 38 Jamie Vardy. Like, I'm not sure. Is he going to be cut out for 46 games? This is the issue. It's not, it's not a given, is it?
Well, no, he's not. But maybe he will do like so many games, and then you've got the like of Evans or somebody like that can come through. And the sad news is that we've only got Ayew for one more season. We've got Cover-Reed for 2 more seasons. So I'm sure.
He's a much younger man. I think, like I've said before, I think Bobby. I'm being quite generous, but I think he has a good energy and I think he's better on the ball than Ayew. But if you don't play him where he's most comfortable, you may as well not bother. And if you can
100%.
find that and get him in the Championship doing that, he's only 32, I think. He's same age as Ricardo. So, there's still potential there because he's not a bad footballer. You've never thought, oh my God, don't give him the ball. He can't control it or whatever. He's actually okay on the ball.
And he scored a couple.
And he's scored a couple. That's what I mean. He makes himself available in those moments. But the problem is we haven't been able to get it forward for Toffee. And he just fair part because he's definitely not a defensive player for you.
That's the problem with anybody we've had that's a forward player this season. We just haven't got it to them. Now, I'm guessing we're moving on now to match of the season. I'm guessing this, again, you didn't have a lot to choose from, really.
No, and realistically, a match of the season, for me anyway, probably has to be a win. Which, what was that? Like, that eliminated, how many wins did we get? I don't even know.
We got about 6 wins, didn't we? No.
So that's like Guess Who when you can knock all the characters out.
Yeah, exactly.
How many have you won this season? More or less than 10. Okay, let's get rid of all of those. So you leave the winners left. And I think the best performance for me of the season, which was Rude's first home game, was West Ham at home. And I don't think that Rude picked that team or that tactic because it was counter-attacking football. And I think Rude took over the next game properly. So I think whoever put that together in training was the reason for that win. And it was counter-attacking, it was peak Leicester City, and it was high-paced and high-tempo. And that's why we won.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really exciting, we thought we'd turned a corner at that moment at the KP. We got 3 goals. It was a really enjoyable game for me. But yeah, close contenders were obviously Southampton with the last minute winner and also the Vardy Ipswich game because, that was a great atmosphere. But the game itself, aside from the goal, was pretty drab.
Yeah, it was. One got me all excited then when he said the resigning, I thought he'd written, resigning. I thought, I've missed that. Great, But yes, it was. Like you say, had he been here long enough to actually have an influence in that game? Because he'd been at Brentford, and I think that was midweek, wasn't it, the Brentford game? Before. And then he'd taken that West Ham game.
Oh, the Brentford was the Sunday, wasn't it? I think the Brentford game was the Sunday.
There we go.
And then the West Ham game was like the Tuesday or Wednesday or something. It must have been the Wednesday.
Yeah, it was the 30th of November, the Brentford game. It doesn't tell me what day that was. But then literally, it was midweek weekend, whichever way round, because West Ham was on the 3rd of December. So it was only sort of a few days between.
Yeah, so West Ham was Tuesday and the November was the Saturday.
Right. So you couldn't... Yes, he didn't have a lot of time to put anything through. No. But the thing is, whoever came up with that, why didn't we give him the job?
Why didn't Rude come in and say, yeah, that works?
Yes.
That worked. It's better than the Brentford game that I had to sit through painstakingly. I've now chatted with the coaches. The coaches have put that together over the weekend. And my word, we've got some pace in that team. And I'm still a big believer that we have got some pace in that team. It was just never
everybody fit. Yeah, I think we really
that's
do.
What happened. And, compared to the opposite fixture, which was horrendous against West Ham away, that was, I think, the worst match of the season because
there's so many that we could contend.
It was completely without effort.
Yes. In fairness, I didn't ask you for the worst match of the season because I thought, just
it's like the ball. Except I'm not knocking hardly any over.
No, exactly. But look, so that's your match of the season. The next one up here again. Let's be honest with you, slim pickings here for goal of the season. Was that an easy choice for you?
No, because there was 2 contenders for me. There was one that was obviously heart-wrenchingly good, and that was Jamie Vardy's Ipswich goal. Because the elation in the crowd, we got Jamie to 200 and it was a great goal. The run from JJ was excellent, but my number 1 goal of the season was JJ's absolute thunder volley at the Emirates.
And before anybody says, I have put there the final score was 4-2, but it did take us back to 2-2 when he scored that. I mean, my God, he couldn't do that again if you gave him another 100 attempts. But what a game. And when I actually looked back at that game, when I was doing this the other day and you'd sent your things through, I was looking back, and I know Steve Cooper was in charge then, but to get back to 2-2, I'm thinking, like, we weren't as bad as we seemed at the end.
You mean you thought the 4-2 spanking by Arsenal, where like Mads Hermansen did the most saves in a game for about 50 years, was better than what we got at the end? It just shows you what a terrible season it's been.
It does. Yes, it does.
But what you mean? We still had character there. We still had a bit of Leicester personality. We
had spirit. We had fighting spirit in that game.
Fighting spirit.
Yeah, that I haven't really seen since, to be honest with you.
And I think, if I remember rightly, they went in 2-0 at half time.
Yeah, I think
after an absolute spanking. It should have been 7.
Yes.
And we came out and got a fairly fortunate run of events to get our first goal from JJ. Yeah. And then the second goal, the crowd just went quiet as he hit that volley. It was absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best goals you will ever see. I was right in line with it on the side. And he just came over exactly like your picture says there, like Jack on the edge of the Titanic. Someone held him aloft. It was just a great moment. And that's what you go to games for stuff like that. Because there's never a chance of VAR, because it was never going to be offside. No. And it was just like, wow, what a hit. And
I think what you're trying to say there is that, like the Titanic, Leicester sunk without trace.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But yes, I mean, all right, 4-2 looks bad. And sometimes you can take a hammer in, and yes, Mads Hermansen probably made more saves in one game than he made the rest of the season. But sometimes that means that you have that bit of luck, and something goes your way. And look, that luck I think he got a deflection for the first goal, although it was credited to him. Yeah. I think he took a deflection. And the 4-2, all right, you can say maybe it reflected, but it was only very late when they got that, those late last 2 goals. But yes, I've got to say, way out in front of everybody else, as Craig and Rod would agree in there, the best goal of the season by far. Now, is this where you need to go and change your pants? Because we've gone for moment of the season. Again, I was wondering how many, and there's a little bit of a sparkle in my eye when I was choosing the categories, trying to make them a little bit difficult for you. Sorry, I'm going to admit that now, because it has been like that. Like the guy said, John said on Facebook, just cancel it. Don't deserve any. Did you have more than the choice that you've gone for?
Again, the moment of the season, Vardy getting his 200th goal. I mean, that I kind of maybe regret not picking that one, to be fair. I just didn't even think about that. Maybe that should have been up there. But the JJ moment was great. That was also a good moment, just drawing back level with Arsenal at the Emirates before we knew what was to come. I can't really remember any other really good moments this season, if I'm honest, apart from that I've picked, because we thought at the time that this goal was going to be super important in the relegation battle, and it ended up not mattering a jot, really. But to have an injury time winner away from home in the autumn sunshine with a sending off mixed in with it as well, just in the moments before, scuffed really into the corner of the goal by Jordan Ayew was the away third goal from the Harry Winks corner. I've watched that so many times. I did a clip, I put a video on Twitter with that, and it went pretty viral because I got the full clip. Vardy sitting there laughing at all the people on the front row with the ball under his arm, just pointing at everybody and laughing, and it was just absolutely brilliant. It was what you travel all those miles for, to see moments like that.
98th minute as well.
98th minute. But yeah, I think maybe I should have picked the Vardy 200th goal. To be fair, it didn't. I was thinking of just actual goals.
Yeah.
But the Vardy 200th goal perhaps should have been the winner if I thought
I
about
think.
it.
Well, Craig said the Vardy's 200th goal, but I think obviously for what it meant, but we won the match 2-0. So even if he hadn't scored that, you could argue that we would have won that game anyway. But this one, 2-0 down at half time, that we came back and beat a team managed by Russell Martin. Just saying, just putting it out there. You know, I'm just thinking around Southampton, there must have been a lot of stray dogs that night because they couldn't hold on to the leads, could they? Bum. But yes, I agree. It was totally, again, character that was lacking. At least, people say about Cooper, but there was character, like the Arsenal game, like this game. You that wouldn't have happened, I don't believe, if Ruud van Nistelrooy had been in charge of that game.
No, me neither. And it shows, like with Vardy's 200th goal and with that goal, both of those goals came from an opportunistic moment by the player who provided the assist. We had not seen JJ go on a run like that for Vardy's goal ever this season. We know JJ is capable running the ball, really capable. He actually reminds me a bit of Ryan Giggs when he runs. He's so balanced when he's in possession of the ball, and he's really, really fast. I think he's the second fastest on the stats at Leicester. So the injuries haven't impacted his pace. So to see him run through the middle, I'd have preferred to see him as a right winger, JJ, this season rather than a right fullback.
Wouldn't we all?
That was the opportunistic moment for that goal that created the goal. And then for the Southampton goal, it was the cutback from the corner to the edge of the area, which we never do. We either go short within 10 yards or hook a terrible crossing that either straight to the keeper or out for a goal kick. So it was a couple of things that worked well, and just a bit of innovation and a bit of forethought to try and get the ball in the back of the net actually has been completely lacking under Ruud van Nistelrooy. It was different from the Vardy goal because the clear MO of the game was to just get it to Vardy every opportunity. And I wish we'd have done that for the whole season. I wish we'd have had that mentality for the whole season.
Most of Vardy's goals did come under Cooper, of course, know. And I have to say that when I was going through your list and doing the artwork, and I was going back to see what the score was when these, was it 2-2 when, Justin got his second? Because I'm an old man, I can't remember these things. I went down a lot of rabbit holes on YouTube, and I ended up getting rather excited at Iheanacho's last-minute goal against Brighton in the cup. We won it. And they're thinking, and I can't remember who took the corner, but it's like somebody there had the presence of mind to think all the Brighton players had just switched off. And the ball came over and Iheanacho just went, thank you very much, boom, in. That would never happen these days, But
every goal, as you can see in a lot of the goals we're talking about, some of the best goals of the season come from taking a risk.
Yes.
And I've said it before on here, we take more risks at the back in possession than we do going forward in possession. And it's completely the wrong way round.
Yes.
I get possession-based football. I understand the concept of it. But if you are not capable or you're not generating enough the other end at the opposition 18-yard box, that's a massive imbalance and you need to rectify it.
You do.
Because you're not going to get any goals. And you know what? We got no goals.
Very, very few. Now, this one, I chuckled to myself when this was one that I sent to you as an afterthought. I'm thinking, my God, have I made this too difficult for her? The most embarrassing moment of the season.
It came to me instantly.
Well, I had to go back because I'd forgotten it. And when I saw it, I think it was quite early in the. It may have been another one of those games when I was away in Australia. And
be aware, you did well there.
Yeah, well, I was, and when I actually saw it, I'm like, what's going on there? Are we going to go straight to it for this one?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's been any others, but all the others are kind of mixed in with just general poor defending from Leicester City. But this one, was an isolated, single-handed, awful moment of the season for me, and that was Woot Fast versus Nottingham Forest, and letting Chris Wood, a 6'4" Chris Wood, allowed the ball to bounce, and it was just an absolute car crash of a moment for me. And I think that was the moment where I was like, just get Woot Fast out of Leicester City as quickly as possible. If you get $1 million for him, snap their hands off.
Indeed, and I mean, you could have had about a whole list of these that were actually just Wout Faze's mistakes, couldn't you?
Yeah, you really could. It was a bit like Benny Hill stuff, to be honest. Sorry, Woot, I didn't know you were joining us tonight.
Well, I just thought, seeing as you're talking about me, can I just say...
Is it Woot or Tina Turner? I'm stuck.
So what?
Is it Woot or Tina Turner?
Well,
Simply the worst. We'll call it that. Simply the worst.
I do maybe now see why he doesn't do very well, because he can't bloody see the ball and do all of this. And
it was one of those moments where you literally just stand like I'm standing now. And you're like, I cannot believe you don't see that down the park where the kids play. Like, no. It was so bad. It was off the scale bad. And there was a bit of lacking of care or apology, or I just felt he didn't give a crap in that moment.
No, I mean, it was neither one thing or the other, was it? He must have known Chris Woods was there, because if he didn't, then maybe he did have too much hair in his eyes or whatever. Well, he has a headband. I haven't got a headband. Maybe that's what I need to do. I have got a new...
He does have a headband.
Sorry?
I don't think he does have a headband.
Does he not? I thought he does sometimes. Oh, maybe. Well, I have got a new understanding of how difficult it is for my daughters, I have to say.
There are things invented called hair bobbles.
Ah, right.
He's got really curly hair. Look at Virgil van Dijk. Really curly hair. Slicks it back.
Do you think it suits me, though?
No.
You don't think...
It's molten as well.
Hell.
What a treat.
I wouldn't. You don't think I'd get away if I went on holiday to Mykonos? You don't think I'd blend in?
You get put in jail as soon as you landed. Your neighbours walk past now, they'll be like, what the hell is going on in there?
I'm getting my use out of it. It costs me money. I'm getting my use out of it.
That's a worry. That is a worry that you're getting your use out of that.
All right, let's go on to donkey of the season. While I get changed back, I was going to go and have a quick haircut. Talk us through your choices for donkey of the season.
Well, one of the contenders we've just been talking about is Woot Fast, just because of that comical error there, and his general all-round play across the season. Ta-da! General all-round play across the season has been absolutely woeful. JJ obviously had a torrid time, particularly in the first part of the season at right back, but I still will die on the hill that I think a lot of the people around him were responsible for that as well.
Yeah.
But my donkey of the season has to go to the man at the helm, Ruud van Nistelrooy. If you go a whole 9 months...
I've followed him around. I've stalked him to get a picture of Ruud van Nistelrooy on a donkey for you. Now, can I just say that Ruud van Nistelrooy is the one on top? Just in case anybody is...
Yeah, I just
don't say I don't go to an effort for you guys. I don't waste my afternoons,
I can't get my head round that for nearly 2 whole seasons, a winter and a spring, we didn't see... Flipping it. You still got hair in your mouth. You're hilarious. Well, for a winter and a spring, we didn't see a home goal. No. And it's just absolutely unacceptable. It's so bad. It's so bad. Even at the weekend, the Bournemouth game, no goals again. No attacks second half.
No shots on target.
No shots on target. The one attempt we had was because we were massively offside and they just allowed the game to play on. But even that game, it's worryingly how not bad I thought that performance was. And I just had a word with myself. I was like, that's because I've become so used to it that it's just become a normality. No goals, no attacks, next to minus figures on XG, even though it's a stupid statistic. A fair amount of possession that we've done nothing with, all in the final third. Please stop that, you weirdo. You're like one of those James Bond baddies.
I'm going to say, this is my James Bond moment. I was expecting you, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, so rude for me, not scoring, not changing things up. You could argue he changed formation a couple of times, but even the starting 11 on Sunday was jokes. Like, I feel like he's got the FA Cup bag there and he's just pulling numbers out like people do with the draw to make a decision about his starting 11. How are you still picking Jordan Ayew on game week 38 when you've got kids on the bench who are desperate to be tried and tested to see what the hell we've got in our back pocket for next year? And it was just outrageously bad, and it's just completely convinced me that Ruud was already knowing that he was on borrowed time. I think he'd already been sacked, and he probably had a gentleman's agreement to get his cash to see out the season. I think this was decided long ago, but he never, for many months, did not do the best for Leicester City.
No. Wayne says Weird Al Yankovic. Can I just say, it's been a long time since I've had to get as much hair out of my mouth as this.
That's brilliant. Literally going to be eating your toast tomorrow with a curly woot fass on your mouth.
Yes. Oh God. Let's move on and forget about that. Now, this is where we're going to disagree because I had to write this for the BBC, and mine is different to yours.
I read your article as well. I can't remember who you put.
You say you read my article. You obviously didn't.
I did, because there was a Pete Chris comment in there that properly made me chuckle.
That made me think what that might be.
So go on then, you tell me who your unsung hero was.
Well, my unsung hero was Luke Thomas. So I think I mean, for me, Brad's been talking about Redemption FC all season. He was the butt of the fans, travelling fans and home fans. They hated him. They wanted him out of the club. He was useless. You know, oh, look, he's not even good enough for Sheffield United. Oh, look, he's failed at Middlesbrough. And yet he's come back. And, we're talking about building the team around him.
Yeah. I mean, I think Luke's been great. I think when you think about his career, it started with Brendan Rodgers thrown in at the deep end because of injuries. And I think he held his own for a little while, and then he started to drop a bit. And he was a really young lad, not particularly physical. And he almost had too much football. You sort of hear that managers in days gone by, that they say they don't want to give them too much football at such an early age because it can ruin them. And I felt like that happened with Luke a bit. The times that he went out on loan, was it to Sheffield United and was it Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough, yeah.
It was just awful for him, like really, really unsuccessful. But VK has not covered himself in glory this season. It's probably one of the few things that Ruud's changed and stuck with that I've actually agreed with and thought, yeah, you're actually picking the guy that deserves to be in the position there. And I think Luke, and Craig's mentioned it loads of times, Luke is, he thinks, and I agree, man for man, positionally our best defender. He never really is out of position. He will be at times. He's against, some top class opposition. But when you think of Wandering Woot, as we called him, sorry, it's absolutely down here. Wandering Woot.
I heard that Wandering Woot. I love it.
They call him the Wanderer.
Yeah.
They got Wandering Woot, who sort of finds himself centre mid / high 8 all of a sudden when you're out of possession. But Luke, I think, did himself really good these last 10 games or so. He had Mohamed Salah in his pocket again. Had a really good game against him. And I just think he's one of the few defenders that seems able to follow instruction. He doesn't do anything outrageous. He doesn't do anything that will break world records or will set the world alight, in terms of goal scoring or anything like that. But he is a steady Eddie all of a sudden, and he's become definitely the preferred left back over VK. I still like to see JJ left back. I think it's his.
I would in fairness, But Luke Thomas, if we're having 3 or 5 at the back or 3, he can play the left of those centre backs for me. Wasn't it the Mo Salah, Luke Thomas comment?
No, I've just found it. Happy with your manager question mark. Is this a trick question? I would be happier with Piles. That is peak Chris. That is a peak Chris moment, that is.
I didn't think they would actually print that. I thought I'd get cut out. I was so... Yes, I've forgotten about that one.
I would be happier with Piles.
And they're a pain in the arse. Hey! Right. Boom. I did say, though, Luke Thomas is still walking a bit lopsided because he's got Mo Salah in his pocket.
I saw that, yeah. That was also a very you comment, to be fair.
But, go on. Who's your unsung hero? Let's reveal it.
My unsung hero is Jakob, because I think he came in when Mads was injured and it was a bit like, oh, no, he's kind of stopped a few cricket scores along the way. And I think he just slots in and it just made everybody think, yeah, Mads can go in the summer. He can go in the summer and we're all right. Like, Jakob is solid. At times he can be better. His distribution can be poor. It was really poor on Sunday, actually. But you can work on that. But his overall keeping, he made some top-class saves on Sunday as well. I think enough isn't spoken about this guy. We've got a real battle for the number 1 position, especially if Mads stays even more so. But we've got a real battle for the number 1 position here. Mads probably edges it, but post-injury Mads wasn't as good as he was pre-injury. And one could argue that could be the case this time around in the summer if he stays with us. But Jakob is great. He's waited in the wings. And, yeah, he took the opportunity with both hands and performed really well.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be... Well, I presumed that Mads is going in the summer, and I'd be more than happy with Jakob in goal as our number 1. I would have liked Everson as our number 2, but I understand him going. He wants first team football, and fair play to him. But yes, I agree. A good choice there, even if it's the wrong one. Still a good choice. Young player of the season. Should we just go straight into it? I think we all know where this is going to go. Let's jump straight into it, shall we? There we go.
Yeah, our lovely little Bilal. He's a pleasure to watch, like we said already. Workhorse, workaholic. A real, I don't know if you feel the same, but when you see him play, you're like, yeah, he's a Leicester player. Fight, grit, determination, talent. I think
for me, what he does is a bit like Grealish for England, if you like. When he gets on the ball, you can feel the crowd getting like, go on, lad. There's a bit of, it gets you excited.
Yeah, it's the only bit of electricity we've had this season for sure. Buonanotte, we thought had potential, particularly at the start of the season, but it went a bit south for him, unfortunately. But yeah, Bilal's great.
And he has gone back south, of course, because he's gone back to Brighton. Boom.
Yeah,
you cross him over, I'll knock him in. Player of the season. I really shouldn't have been surprised with this, should I? But come on, before we get to the reveal, was there anybody that could have maybe knocked this guy off the top?
I think Bilal could have.
I think
Bilal was up there because, like I say, all the accolades he's got this season, he's really shown why we paid a lot of money for him. He's really shown that our scouts can find a gem.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a diamond in the rough like Riyad because he wasn't 400 grand. He's obviously a notable asset that many had their eye on to pay 20 million sniffs for him. But I think Bilal probably only came close, and Hermansen. But Hermansen just didn't have that continuity because of his injury. And I don't think he was quite on it when he came back from his injury, which again makes me cross because when you had a decent number 2 like Jakob, I wish Mads would have just got the bloody surgery in January.
I could do with a decent number 2 like you wouldn't believe.
Rather than finishing the season early when we got relegated to have this desperate operation. He should have just had it in January. We were all right with Jakob. So, the only person that's left for me, player of the season, is our top goal scorer.
It says a lot when he's got 9 in the league.
But he's our hero. He never changed. He never faltered. He missed a few sitters this year, don't get me wrong. but he is human. But yeah, Jamie Vardy.
Again, another point that I made on the BBC post today, it said player you'd most like to sign. And I actually surprised myself because I've been saying all season that this guy needs to go. And he needs to go because while he is here, I think it is stopping maybe other players coming through because you've got to feel I've got to play Jamie. I mean, hopefully, if we'd had a decent other option, Vardy coming on for the last 15, 20 minutes of a game would be perfect for him. But we didn't have any other options, so we carried on playing him. And when it came to where is it? Player who would most like to sign. And I said, I'm going against everything I've been saying all season, but I would like to sign Jamie Vardy. I mean, not just for, you can't say, for his goal scoring, but we've not got the ball to him. I also said in another bit that if you'd put Messi up front for us, he wouldn't have scored goals because we've not got the ball to him. But with Vardy, it's his leadership. It's his, his commitment, his teamwork, his shithousery. That we're going to miss. Probably more than after this season, his goals. But would you have re-signed him?
It depends how much money it costs. But yeah, I would definitely not. I'd have definitely re-signed Jamie if he wanted to stay. But that's the thing. Like, Jamie's left because he doesn't want to stay. And he doesn't have it all to give to us anymore. I think a lot of that is because of maybe what's going on behind the scenes in terms of managers, squad. I don't think the PSR stuff would bother him. He's climbed bigger walls than that, and it's not really down to him. He just does it on the pitch. But I just think, when all your mates have left, like Albrighton was a real kind of last one standing situation for me, and it's just not the same. It probably doesn't feel the same for him. Like anything, when time moves on, it doesn't wait for you. And he's probably just in that position where he's like, yeah, it's time. It's time to go. That nice 2 round numbers that he got, 500 and 200. And it was time to go. But I'd have signed Jamie. And I don't think the money is a situation that he'd probably take a pay cut. But similarly, why would you begrudge a guy going somewhere else to have a final payday? I think he'll get a good payday wherever he goes. Yeah. And he wants to try something new. I completely understand it. He's completed Leicester City. He's completed it.
Yes.
And, there's stuff out there. He still wants to play. He's still got loads to give. Like, I think he said in one of his interviews I watched at the end of the season last week, I think he did an interview with Rob Dorset, and he said that he was really off it when he joined us in 2012. Like, when they do all the strength and conditioning fitness tests, he couldn't even finish the test when he joined. His fitness was just not that of an elite athlete, which is totally understandable. He was making prosthetic limbs 40 hours a week, for God's sake.
Yes. And you could say he didn't have a leg to stand on.
But the next year, he aced the results, and he's had those same scores since, including this summer just gone. So his tenacity and fitness and drive is still there, and I'm just jealous that it's not with us and it's with someone else.
And I do wonder, with the way that he's left, how he's left, had it been different above him at certain levels, that he may have given it another year. It's interesting that when he was thanking everybody, he didn't mention John Rudkin, and I'm not sure whether he mentioned Susan Whelan or not.
No, I don't think he mentioned either.
No, which says a lot, really. It says a lot. Talking.
Like, Vardy won't thank you if he doesn't think you're part of his story. I'm very much the same. I wouldn't just say it to be polite. Like, Top, Vishai, they've been part of his story. Nigel, part of his story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Whelan and John weren't in their positions when we signed Jamie, we'd have still signed Jamie. They weren't critical.
I'm not sure about. Well, John was at the club, certainly, and he would have sort of been there through his journey. But it's just interesting. But look, we wish him all the best, and I can totally understand why you've given it to him. I don't think.
Time.
Sorry?
One last time.
10 more years. Talking of the legend that is Jamie Vardy, if I press the right button, this will come up. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, you can see there, 13 seasons. We're going to start, we're not going to do one a week, don't worry. We're going to literally go through all 13 in one show, and we're going to look at his Leicester career season by season. 18th of May 2012, he signed for Leicester from Fleetwood for £1 million. And do you remember his first goal?
I don't know. I remember us signing him. I remember the back page of the Leicester Mercury with the photo of him in the stand with his scarf above his head.
Yes. And probably the best haircut he ever had, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to loads of games back then. I went to probably half a dozen a season. I wasn't a season ticket holder till a couple of years later. Right. So it was stuff I would have read about, but back then I would never go onto YouTube or anything like that and look at the replays and that kind of thing. That certainly doesn't get shown on Match of the Day. Yes. So yeah, it's in those early seasons. It was stuff that I was reading from the Leicester Mercury, really.
Craig has said. I mean, I'm not sorry, Craig. I'm not going to give you a prize for coming up with Talk Your Way because it actually says it in the graphic above.
I might have said it before.
Yeah. So 7 o'clock tomorrow. Join us for that. That's going to be a really, really, really interesting. I had somebody email me a thing that was literally a biopsy of his 13 seasons. It's really interesting, Matthew. So join me tomorrow at 7 for that. Kate, thank you very much, young lady. How can people find you?
You'll find me on here on Tuesdays. I'm on Blue Tinted Glasses on Sundays. You can see my BBC stuff every other week, along with Christoph's. And I'm on Twitter @X Kate Blakey 40. So give me a follow on there. And
you don't have the piles like I do.
I don't have the piles. I won't be talking about my piles. No. What was your other comment? Oh, the walking lopsided. Yeah, I won't say that either.
No. And my overriding emotion for the season is anger.
I think we agree on that.
Yeah, I think that is the one thing we would agree on. Kate, thank you very much. Guys, thank you for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and click the notification bell. 7 o'clock tomorrow for the Jamie Vardy season. And if you've been listening or if you're catching on catch up, add your comments below. And if you're listening on your favourite podcast platform, thank you for lending me your ears. Good night, Kate. Good night, everybody. Bye. And we're not here next week because I'm in sunny Lanzarote. Yes.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.